Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sandra. I'm an English teacher in Thailand, and if you're interested in life in Thailand in general, or you're interested in life in Thailand as an English teacher, well, consider subscribing and hitting notification bell. And today I'm going to talk about 5 things that make my life in Thailand uncomfortable. I'll begin with the obvious, the weather. Before moving to Thailand, I was thinking, where do I want to move? And at the time, I lived in the UAE, which is a hot country. So I thought Thailand, another hot country. I already am used to the weather. I'm used to the temperatures. And there is nothing new for me in that because I've spent I don't know, about 11 and a half years of my life living in constant heat. I was like, okay, I'll be fine. So when I moved here, I realized, yes, I am fine, but there is a big, big fat but. Humidity. Why is humidity important? Well, because I am a very active person and I really love outdoors. I love it so much that I do dedicate time every single day to spend outside, walking, hiking. I don't really like running, but sometimes I do. It's about preference. So sometimes you feel like running, and I do feel like running from time to time, so I do. But anyway, regardless, every single time I get out, when I come back, I have to take a shower and change. And when I say change, I have to change everything. So I did build a bit of a backup of my underwear and clothes in here. And that's why I'm telling you that. Because if you're coming to Thailand, you're going to need all of that. You're going to need significant amount of underwear and a stock of clothes if you want to feel fresh every single moment. Even though now I'm accustomed to this and I am okay with it. I know my routine. I am prepared. I'm fine with taking showers and changing clothes. When I get outside, there is another thing that kind of makes me feel even more uncomfortable, although I'm already sweating. That thing makes me sweat even more because it becomes a nervous sweat. So what is that? Is driving culture. Well, I am a driver. I used to drive in the UAE, but when I came here, I realized I don't want to drive anymore. I don't. Because Asia is a little bit uncontrolled compared to the UAE. Rules are very strict there. And anytime you bend or break the rules in there, you get a really, really hefty fine. I'm not sure how the system works in here about fines and everything. I know that they definitely spot the foreigners in here, especially when I was riding a bike. I was always wearing a helmet that caused me additional sweat because it was super hot and stuffy. But now I'm just walking and now I experience how other people drive. So if you didn't know, in Thailand, although you can see occasional zebras on the road, well, nobody respects it. And you, as a pedestrian, you have to wait until there is a kind of gap in between the cars and the bikes to just walk and cross the road. Well, when you get really bold, when you get annoyed and you get really bold on the road, then you can just, do this and walk. And that's what I do. What are they going to do? Are they going to hit me just because I'm walking? And I'm walking, crossing the road where the zebra is. And everybody knows, but nobody cares. And to add on to that, there is another thing. Again, as a person who likes to walk, I do feel very much endangered because of how they drive and how they do not really respect the pedestrians. But at the same time, it also is reflected in how the cities are built, how the towns are built. Because in the big cities like in Bangkok, the things are okay. But in towns like the one that I am in now, well, it's not okay. And I'm talking about the sidewalks. Sidewalks. The space for walking, basically. There is none. And if you need to walk somewhere, you literally walk on the road. And we're back to the previous point where nobody cares if you are on the road. So literally, when I walk somewhere, I have to have my eyes in the front and on the back so I don't get hit. Because people drive here pretty recklessly. They don't really check left and right when they take a turn on the crossroads. So all of that makes me feel really, really uncomfortable when I'm walking, and I love walking. So walking experience in Thailand for me is ruined because of these two things. The way people drive, the way people do not respect pedestrians and the sidewalks and the zebras. And add heat to that, and basically I personally feel a bit of locked up in the gym because that's where I can safely walk without being tortured by the thought of, oh my God, I'm going to get hit at any moment. And also there is an AC there, so a bit of comfort and convenience as well. So that is point number 2. And let's move to point number 3. When you walk, you actually have a chance to meet some new friends, and a lot of people are not comfortable with those friends. And I'm talking about the dogs, stray dogs. So there is no rule like in the UAE to keep an eye on the stray dogs, because in the UAE there are no stray dogs. They're not allowed. I'm not sure how it works, but what I am sure about is there are no stray dogs in the UAE. There are stray cats. In Thailand, there is no rule, no regulation about stray dogs whatsoever. So I realized I was invited to a bar, and I checked my Google Maps. It wasn't too far. Like, it was like 1.5 kilometers. And for me, 1.5 kilometers is like nothing, even though it was kind of hot and it was humid, but it was like 6 p.m. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll not be that sweaty when I reach that place. And when on the way back, it'll be even better because it's going to be already dark. So I'm going to be fine. What I didn't think about, I did think about the weather. What I didn't think about was that I'm going to meet so many dogs on the way to that bar, because I was going not along the main road. I was going along the roads, like around the houses. So there are tons of stray dogs and they're kind of getting together. They do react mildly to people who are on the bikes. I guess they're just acquainted and used to people on the bikes. But it's a very rare thing for somebody to walk there. And I was like, whoa, the dogs saw me and they didn't rush to me, just scare me completely away. But it did startle me a little bit when those dogs started kind of approaching to me and more of them started coming up. I think I got alerted a little bit by the sheer amount of dogs that are approaching me. One of my friends, she is very much afraid. And if she sees only one stray dog, she will not go there. So for any person, if you are not ready to face a lot of dogs coming to you, they're kind of peaceful. They're not jumping at you, but they might bark at you. They might bark even loudly at you. If you don't react and you don't feel scared, you'll be fine. But it is still a very alarming experience, which I decided not to have anymore. So I didn't walk the same way anymore. I took a Grab, which is local taxi service. It's like local Uber, but you can take a bike. Yeah, so consider when you come to Thailand and you're coming to visit like smaller towns or even the areas in the big towns where there are more of not the high-rise buildings, but like the houses. I'm going to show you the type of the houses, the ones that I kind of see from my window. Well, then consider yourself doing two things. Either taking Grab, which is like the highly available service here in Thailand, or getting yourself a bike or a car. But if you're getting a bike or a car, you're going to be part of that traffic and part of that driving culture that I just talked about. And that's why I actually gave my bike back and I'm not riding it anymore. But anyway, that was point number 3. What makes my life less enjoyable in Thailand. But I'm going to move to another one, a bit lighter one than the 3 previous ones, because it's not dangerous, at least. It's something that just makes my life a little inconvenient, but it's okay. This one you can always solve, you can put up with it. And what I'm talking about is the language. So I did spend about 18, 19 months in Thailand so far. And in my case, it's pretty difficult to tell people why I do not speak Thai, why I do not understand any Thai at all. But for me, it's very clear. So I am an audio person and I need to get used to how the language sounds in the first place to start understanding at least some kind of parts of it. And it took me almost a year to kind of start distinguishing the sounds in Thai language. Well, that's how difficult this language is for me personally, right? So because of that, I am basically restricted to using mostly English and using the translation applications, which works most of the time. But I'll tell you this, even though I use the native Apple application for translation, which is pretty good, it's pretty accurate, but when using it here in Thailand, you need to make sure that you make very short and very clear type of sentences, because this app still has a lot of things to be improved about it, like long sentences, idioms, some kind of phrases. It doesn't understand it. You need to make sure that you're speaking in a very clear and simple English with simple short sentences for this app to deliver the correct information to the person you're talking to. The big cities like Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Pattaya, they do attract locals who speak English, which is not perfect, but at least they understand what you're saying and you can find a common language. But if you're planning to stay here for long, you need to kind of accept the reality that you probably would need to learn Thai as well. It's kind of necessity here. You cannot insist on speaking English with the people who do not speak English, especially the older generation. They do feel a bit of inconvenience when they see foreigners. And I did have experience, like, okay, my first couple of months in Thailand, I rented a bike. And obviously, I need to have a helmet. So I lived in a very small town. So there were like very few shops where I could get a helmet. So the first shop that I saw on the way back from school, from work, so I'm walking into the shop, the guy, no. That was his reaction. And the guy was pretty young. So imagine if the person is a bit older, they will feel more inconvenience. The young people, they have more freedom in expressing their feelings. The older people, they would not do that, but they would definitely avoid you as much as they can. So what I'm trying to say, be nice, be polite, try to learn at least the numbers and simple greetings and thanks, so people would feel a bit more willing to talk to you in the first place. And also always have the translation app ready and know how to use it so you could be efficient and quick in your communication to get what you actually need. So that's the fourth point that makes my life not that much uncomfortable, because it's, as I said, it's still manageable, it's still doable. And there is one more thing that I wanted to mention, which is number 5. It's more of a cultural thing. So when they see a person who doesn't look like them, what they think is that you are a tourist. Even though there are tons of English teachers in the country, tons, there's still a lot of tourists here, people who just come and go. So this cultivated something that I call tourist-oriented attitude amongst the local people. So there are upsides to it and there are downsides to it. I want to start with the downsides. Downsides are financial, mostly, because when they see a foreigner, they assume automatically that the person who comes into their country has more money than them. And I'll tell you, this is really sad to say, but local people do not really make much money. So the gap between the salaries and the amount of money people make is huge. People in this country are either super rich on a global level rich, or they are really poor on a global level. There is not much of a middle class per se. So that's why if you are buying something, they treat you as basically a walking wallet, a person with money. And what I've experienced, especially in the smaller towns, is that if it's a market and you're buying something, so at the same stall, they sell somebody an item for 30 baht, for example. But when I come right after that person, which was the local person, they sell it to me. They begin with 200 baht. And then I can negotiate. But again, first of all, I am not the person to haggle. I do not feel comfortable. That's not me, right? I am ready to pay the fair price, the price that the person is asking from me. And if I feel, yes, it is fair for what they're giving me, I'm ready to pay. But what I'm not ready to do is to put up with this kind of attitude when, oh, okay, you're the foreigner, you have more money, let me charge you like 10 times more. I don't like it. This unfairness kind of makes me feel more of an item that is being used, like a wallet that is being used for somebody's profit, which makes me feel really, really uncomfortable. So that's the downside of being a foreigner in the country. The upside is, like everywhere else, when you see a person who is unlike you, a foreigner, you try to showcase the best of your culture to them, the best of you as a person, and the best of your culture. So this, I see plenty. People, local people are wonderful, and I think I went extensively about it in my previous video, which is awesome. But at the same time, if you are buying something, you will definitely experience that. And I'll give you one example. So I needed to cut my hair and dye my hair. And in Thailand, actually, it's a very difficult thing to do for a lady with a short hair like mine. So I have to use the services of a barber. So if you are a lady with a short hair, be prepared that you're going to have to find a barber rather than a hair salon. But in the bigger cities, I was able to find kind of bigger salons where there are ladies who know how to deal with short hair for the ladies and how to dye it. So I've experienced it a couple of times in Hua Hin, and I also went to Chiang Mai. So I know exactly how they price it in big cities, right? So I paid approximately 2,000 baht for dye and my haircut, right? And as you can see, it's not really long, so it's not much of a work. So, in Bangkok, when I went last time, my sister came to Bangkok to see me, so we spent about a week. And I decided, okay, let me do a haircut and dye. So I went to one of the salons, which was my mistake to do because I did it in Siam, which is one of the most expensive areas in Bangkok. And when I asked how much the hair dye and the haircut would be for me, for my hair, they told me 4,500 baht. To give you perspective, when I lived in the UAE, I was doing the same thing on a regular basis monthly, and I was paying for everything high quality service 300 dirhams, which approximately is like 3,000 baht, and it's in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is one of the most expensive cities in the world, and it's the capital of the UAE, right? So the level of service is really high. And in Bangkok, in that hairdressing shop, when they told me 4,500 baht, I'm telling you, my jaw just literally dropped. And I'm like, why? Tell me why. What's so special about your shop in Thailand, in Bangkok, that I have to pay more than I paid in Abu Dhabi? Like, tell me why. And it's more than twice more than I had to pay in Hua Hin that I did like previous time. So anyway, all of this ranting is to show you that there are things that make my life quite uncomfortable in here. But as soon as I'm aware about these things, and now you are aware about these things, I think you're going to be mentally prepared to all of that, and you will find the solution easily, which is exactly what I do. And I focus on the good things about Thailand that I told you about in my last video. There are way more than 5 things that I love about Thailand, and there are more things to focus on, and that's what I'm doing. But today's video was about things that make my life quite uncomfortable from time to time, and I hope it was useful. I am going to start videos about teaching in Thailand as well, so if you're looking forward to that, subscribe, hit the notification button, and I'll see you in my next video.